Twister. Back in the 1960s, Rain Geiner and his dad specialized in advertising products for various companies such as Kraft's Food and Pillsbury. One afternoon in 1965, Rain was contacted by a Wisconsin shoe polish firm that wanted a clever way to advertise its product. The firm's idea was to create a gift premiere that kids would cut out of newspapers, magazines, or comic books. After sending in the premiums plus $1 to the company, the children would receive a gift in the mail. But what should the gift be? Rain put on his thinking cap. First, he thought of colored patches that children could stick to their shoes as decorations. This led to another idea, putting a multicolored circular design on a life-size board. Each child would have a different color on his or her feet, and then would have to stretch out hands and feet and extend to that same color elsewhere on the board without falling down. An artist for Rain's company sketched out the design on a large piece of plastic. Then Rain recruited 8 employees to test out his idea. Before long, the players were all tangled up and howling with laughter. Rain realized that he had invented a new game that would appeal to both kids and adults. Rules were written up and a spinner dial was added to indicate the color of the square to which a player had to move on each turn. After talking it over with his father, Rain decided to call the game Pretzel. The foot patches idea was sold to the shoe polish company. Meanwhile, Rain presented the game of Pretzel to the Milton Bradley Toy Company. They loved it, except for the name, which they changed to Twister. At first, most store owners were reluctant to stock it. Twister was not exclusively for children or adults. Thus, they weren't sure how to advertise it or where to shelve it. And then there was an even bigger problem. How could they explain the game to customers? The problem was solved literally overnight. On the evening of May 3rd, 1966, millions of Americans watching The Tonight Show saw what this new game was all about. The host then was Johnny Carson, and one of his guests was the celebrity Eva Gabar. For laughs, the two tried out Twister, with the host and his guests crazily entangled and the audience tied up in knots laughing. Twister's future was guaranteed. The next day, toy stores were flooded with requests for the game. By year's end, over 3 million had been sold, more than 10 times as many as Milton Bradley had expected. Today, Twister is still the best-selling party game in the United States. A dance craze called the twist, which began in 1960 and lasted a few years, added to the popularity of the game. Songs by Chubby Checker, who was known as Mr. Twister, were often played at parties while the game was in full swing. According to the president of Milton Bradley, Twister was the first game in history to turn the human body into a vital component of play. Twister was a big hit on college campuses. In 1987, a record-breaking 4,160 contestants tied themselves in knots playing a Twister marathon at the University of Massachusetts. For those who like to play Twister in a bathing suit, there is a version called the Water Twister Mat.